Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiteboard Finance. My name is Marco and I'm here to help you master your money and build your wealth. In today's video, we're going to do a mini case study about a couple who's making $150,000 a year of household income and how they can end up or feel completely average financially at the end of the year. So this video is not going to be on the whiteboard, it's going to be on my laptop over there on an Excel spreadsheet, and it's going to be a really fun case study showing you how someone can make that kind of money and still end up borderline broke. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for the second part of the video. Let's get right into it. So I created this spreadsheet right here where you can see where their gross salary is $150,000 for this couple. So just to make sure all the assumptions are up front, this is a married couple with one child. They're living in a middle-class suburb, let's just call it in the Midwest, and they both make $75,000 equally. And basically they're going to contribute, let's call it $12,000 to their 401k. So their salary after the 401k, let's just call it 138. That's basically just 150 minus 12. And just trust me on this one, I already did all the math beforehand. Their effective tax rate or their tax bill is going to be right around the $35,000 area. So basically this is just going to be the 138 minus 35,000, which brings us to an effective net salary of $103,000. Now let's get into expenses, and this is where these big six-figure household incomes tend to deteriorate, okay? So let's say their childcare, they need to drop the kid off at the daycare or whatever. I did some research and I talked to some people that I know personally. Childcare or daycare does run right around in the high 900s per month. So I just averaged up, called it $1,000 a month and multiplied it by 12. So all these figures that you see in column B are going to be in annual figures. Okay, this is not monthly, this is for the whole year. So food, let's just say this includes entertainment, going out to eat, groceries, the whole 9 yards for the whole family, for both mom, dad, and the kid. I've rounded that up to about $1,000 a month. We're at $12,000 a month, and that's including, throwing parties and all that stuff. I'm just trying to condense all these for the sake of brevity. And then next we have our mortgage. So in this scenario, our middle-class couple is going to take out and buy a $375,000 house. Okay, this is kind of what couples making this price range end up doing. Obviously, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm just talking about what typically happens in these situations once you get a promotion or two and you start making more money, and both people are making, let's call it 75 grand each. You end up buying a nicer house. So with this house, they're going to put a 20% down payment. It's going to be 75 grand on a 30-year mortgage. Interest rates are 3.72, which seems about realistic, even though they are a bit lower at the time of this recording. And I'm going to say property tax is going to be, and this is realistic, where I'm at, 2.15%, okay? So with that being said, let's fill out the mortgage portion. You can see here the principal and interest out of this is $1,385. So the mortgage will put $1,385 here. So equals $1,385 times 12, which gives us $16,620. Home maintenance, typically what you want to do for home maintenance is save about 0.5% per year. So of the price of the home, just for things that come up, whether it's roof, driveway, air conditioning, HVAC, whatever. Typically you want to save 0.5% to 1% of the price of the house for annual expenses and maintenance. So I'm going to take 375,000 times 0.005. That's 0.5%. Close that up. There you go. You get $1,875 for the year. Let's say this family loves to take vacations and they have relatives overseas, okay, and they go twice a year. So for all three of them, let's just say it's going to be $4 grand for vacations. Now, mom and dad both have new cars because they got those nice fancy corporate jobs, and each of their car payments is going to be $500 a month, which brings it to 500 times 2 times 12. So basically we have two cars at $500 a month times 12 months, 12 grand a year, 1,000 times 12. Now gas, let's just say that both of their cars, they're spending $45 a week in gas, so there's two of them. Then you multiply that by 52 weeks in a year, comes out to be $46.80. Now, car insurance. Let's just say that each one of them is paying $1,000 a year. Obviously, 1,000 times 2 is $2,000. And then we have property insurance. So for this kind of a house in this area, let's just call it $1,000 a year. Maybe a little bit more than that, but just for the sake of simplicity, let's call it $1,000. Now, property taxes. For this house, you can see that it's going to be right around $8,000 a year for a house that's $375,000. At least where I live, this is pretty accurate. But I do live in a county where there is a bigger mid-sized city in it. So property taxes, let's call it $8,000. Now, life insurance, let's assume that they have about, $500,000 in life insurance, okay, between the two of them. That'll work out to be anywhere between $80 to $100 a month, right around there. So let's call it 80 times 12, life insurance, $960. That sounds about right. And that's term. I'm not talking about whole life insurance. I'm talking about term, where you're just renting the insurance. Now, clothing. This is very subjective, and it definitely depends on the family and their lifestyle. If they're going to 1 million weddings a year, obviously the woman has to look good. The man has to wear suits. The woman wants purses. The guy wants a nice 3-piece suit, whatever. The kid may even have a little suit. He may have a sweater. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to go a little bit heavy on clothing. Let's just call it $4,500 for the year. But that also includes dry cleaning and all that other stuff. So children's lessons, this is the big one. So say, for example, the kid is in, soccer, or he needs a tutor after school, or that you want to teach him how to play the piano or the trumpet or whatever. There's a million different things that kids can get involved in. For this, what I thought was fair was about $3,500 a year. I know my parents didn't pay anywhere near this, if anything at all, because I didn't have any piano lessons or anything like that. And soccer was, through my church, so that was pretty much free. So basically, I'm just going to throw in, what someone may go nuts with. Say they want their kid to become the next Mozart, and they go crazy paying for piano or violin lessons. So $3,500 for the year for that. Charity, let's just call it $2,000. So Roth IRA, let's just say they had the realization of, they maxed out their 401k. They're each contributing $6,000 a year. That's up to the match, but they also want to contribute a little bit more. So let's just say they both put in $5,000 for their Roth IRA. So 5,000 times 2 for the year is $10,000. And then let's just say they have consumer debt of, $3,000. And then the miscellaneous catch-all, I'm not counting like birthday parties, wedding gifts, this, that, life, emergencies, all that stuff. Let's just make this $5,000, which actually brings us to total costs of $103,000 and $135. So this actually gives us a deficit of $135 for the year. So let's take a quick recap of this and see kind of where these people, or even in the comments below, where these people can kind of adjust their lifestyle, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this column. I'm going to paste it right here, and let's edit a few of these things, and let's see if we can fix these people's income. Or excuse me, not income, but expenses. Now, childcare. Now, let's say they, they're a family that all lives in the area. They have both, knock on wood, they have both sets of grandparents. Everyone's happy and healthy. What if they eliminated childcare to maybe a quarter of what it is? Okay, so let's call that $3,000. Maybe it's only a quarter of the time that they need childcare. Let's say they saved a little bit of money on going out to eat. They saved a little bit of money on entertainment. And then also, the man and the wife, they start to cook a little bit more and try and feed the kid a little bit healthier. Let's just say they shave off, couple grand on food expenses, okay? The mortgage, you can't really change. However, you could get into a less expensive house. And if you look at my home affordability spreadsheet, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't have that home affordability spreadsheet, hit me up on Instagram, Whiteboard Finance. I've been sending it to pretty much, I think, 1,000+ people at this point who have asked for it. It's a great resource, and people have been getting a lot of value out of that. I did create that spreadsheet from scratch. So let's say the wife hasn't been watching HGTV and doesn't need the 3,000 square foot house here. Let's say they do decide to downgrade a little bit and move into a $300,000 house. Now you can see their P&I is going to be right around $1,100, and P&I stands for principal and interest. So we have 1,100 times 12. That shaves it down to 13,200. The home maintenance, yeah, we could change that to 300,000. So 300,000 times 0.005, that shaves it down a couple $100. Instead of taking 2 vacations a year, let's just say they take one really nice one, $2,500. The car payments, here's a big one. Winner chicken dinner, $12,000 is going to cars every year. That's 2 car payments of $500 a piece. The husband's got the Beamer, the wife's got the Mercedes, and they're both $500 a piece. Now, let's say they decide to buy one of those cars outright and they get rid of one of those payments. Let's just say they still have $500 a month. That brings them to $6,000 a year. Gas, you can't really do much about that if they're both working. That's going to be consistent. Car insurance is probably going to be consistent. Property insurance is going to be consistent because I did round down the other one a little bit. Maybe we can just call this $950, even though I think $1,000 is fair for that one. And then life insurance, can't do much about that unless one of the people is uninsured. However, in this case, they're both making equally $75,000. So I'm not going to take insurance off either the man or the woman. So clothing, this is where you can kind of save some money. I think $4,500 a year on clothing is kind of absurd, especially for a family of 3. The woman can do without a couple purses, the man can do without a couple suits, and let's shave off a couple grand there, okay? Now, you can see here that we're, oops, no, that's right. You can see here that we're already starting to do, significantly better in the remaining category. So let's continue. Now, children's lessons. Let's say this kid kind of grew up how I grew up, okay? Didn't have piano lessons, trumpet lessons, a tutor, nothing like that. Let's just say, for like a bicycle and, whatever. Let's just call it $1,000 a year on the kid, okay? Charity, let's say that these people are a little bit less giving, $1,000 instead of $2,000. Roth IRA, they can actually contribute more and max out now, so they can contribute $6,000 each, so that's going to go up. And then you're going to have the consumer debt, let's just call that 3, and let's call it miscellaneous 5. So now you can see here that we've shaved off a difference of basically this minus this of $25,845, which actually gives us a surplus of $25,000. So the changes that we made were nothing to retirement because the 401k is the same, tax bill is the same, childcare, obviously this you don't have a choice on this. However, if you do have close or extended family that wants to take care of your kid, I was a latchkey kid. I mean, basically I was raised by my grandparents while my parents were at work. And then I was pretty much at home by myself while my parents worked pretty much my whole life. Maybe that's why I'm, kind of weird, but who knows. So anyway, childcare, I know my parents didn't really pay for this, but here's a huge savings of $9,000 right here. And actually, let me just create a separate column here. This minus this equals the difference. And you just pull this down and boom, you can see all the differences here. Food, we saved a couple grand. Mortgage, by downsizing the house to still a reasonable house, a $300,000 house, saved $3,420 a year. Home maintenance, obviously if the house is smaller, there's most likely going to be smaller roof repairs, smaller HVAC, less this, less that. Saved a few $100 there. 2 vacations, saved $1,500. Car payment, $6,000. Clothing, lessons, all that good stuff. So you can see here that the 2 big winners were the child care and the car payment and also the mortgage. So I have to agree with a couple people that say, not going out to eat isn't going to not make you rich, or going out to eat is not going to make you rich. I like going out to eat. I like going out, taking my wife out for dinner. We also are very good cooks, but we like going out to eat. So I think you have to look at the big changes in your life, not necessarily the little ones. So for the people that say, oh, a cup of Starbucks is going to make you broke and you're going to, not be able to afford retirement, I don't agree with that. If you like a $2 cup of black coffee every day, no big deal. I'm talking about the big wins, you guys. I'm talking about potentially saving on childcare, potentially saving on a car payment, potentially saving on a big mortgage, things like that, things that really move the needle. So I hope that this was enlightening. You can see kind of the column B where these people are actually living paycheck to paycheck. And then you can see column C where these people can put away $25,710 and still be able to maybe invest that over time. So that's pretty powerful. Let's take this video one further step. Investment calculator. And I'm actually going to do like an ROI calculator. So say for example, they started with $0, and after 20 years of being able to save, let's just say at 6%, and they contribute, I don't know, let's say they save half of that. Let's just do $12,500 each year. You can see that if they do that for 20 years and make 6%, this family is now, instead of living paycheck to paycheck, they have a nice little $460,000 nest egg in their stock account. Obviously, there's capital gains, there's a bunch of stuff on that, but that's beyond the scope of this video. So I hope you got something out of this video, you guys. This was a very down and dirty, simple lesson on how to actually go from living paycheck to paycheck, making 6 figures, to actually being able to provide for your family and create a nice little nest egg. I hope you got value out of it. If you did, please share the video with one friend, share it on LinkedIn, Twitter, any social media that you may use, because this is my full-time gig and I'm helping a lot of people without asking for anything in return. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a prosperous day.